Approximately 400 years ago, a royal noble was born, Nzinga Mande of Ndongo and Matamba in Angola. In this video, I will recreate her apparel from an iconic portrait by Giovanni Cavazzi. Every detail will be developed by hand using only what we can find. We'll also create a decadent Angolan dish to complement our historical deep dive in our first episode of Incredible Adventures. Okia Kua, Amila Yua, Bem-vindo, Bom dia. Welcome and good day, everyone. I'm so happy to see you here. I'm Nicole, your host. I've always had a fascination with old world thinking, behaviors, historical encounters, and of course, food and drink. This is the start of a brand new journey together, and I hope you are here for it. After months of pressing my eldest brother to take the Y chromosome paternity ancestry test, he agreed. The results determined that our father's bloodline has ties to Angola through the Mbundu tribe. Makes sense considering our nativity is Louisiana, where in the early days, a major fraction of West African captives were sold off to Louisiana. There's a prison that was called Angola based off of the slave plantation, which was also called Angola. Gruesome conditions persisted throughout history, as well as brutality and forced labor. We won't go too far into that. I just wanted to offer a little context as to the connection. As mentioned earlier, the key historical figure we'll explore in this video pertains to the adornment and historical foods eaten by Queen Nzinga, or Nzinga. You might hear me go back and forth with that one. A few things to note. This is not meant to be a formal reenactment nor a historically accurate representation of that time. I'm going to attempt to capture only the essence of Queen Nzinga's iconic photo through her adornment, from the crown, the robe, and the accessories she was wearing in the 1600s and what she may have possibly eaten, followed, of course, by my reaction. Historical fashion. Queen Nzinga looks attractive, confident, and comfortable, draped in a mix of traditional and Portuguese adornment. She wears a gold spiked crown with a red cap, dressed in what looks like sapphire gems, with gold trim pattern that has been stitched. Attached at the very top are blue curved feathers. Fine jewelry drapes her neck, possibly sapphire and another lapis lazuli. But if we draw in a little closely, it may actually be blue braided fabric. I see a gold arm cuff with matching gemstones. The red earrings look like rubies, with a slight reveal of her left breast. She's wearing a green robe with red and green patterns. The texture of the fabric on the outside appears to be cotton, possibly traded from East Africa. But as for the animal texture on the inside, it's unclear, although within Angola, the native animals of the land ranges from beautiful antelopes, zebras, elephants, water buffalo, a number of other species. On second thought, that might be fur from an antelope's belly, or possibly imported fur by the Portuguese. They were known at that time for possessing high-quality fabrics and fashion, traveling with an array of fabric and modern designs for trade. Last but certainly not least, we have here this royal brooch, which is very lovely. Let's make one. Brooches have been around for centuries amongst diverse civilizations. They did not have buttons or zippers or even Velcro like we do. They used different metals like gold, silver, bronze, and even iron. As societies evolved, brooches transitioned from purely functional items to decorative ornaments, often adorned with precious metals, gemstones, and intricate designs. They found their way through the Byzantine era, medieval, Renaissance, the Victorian era, up until now. After learning about all of this, I feel as though I've evolved and I'm going to need one. with diamonds, sapphires, and rubies. I've never created a brooch before, let alone a royal one. I started off with the foundation using felt, red fabric, thread, our handy dandy glue, beads to match our gemstones, gold string, and a little bit of luck. Nzinga famously wore opulent traditional clothing with feathers and jewels to assert the equality of her culture with the Portuguese rather than adopting their attire altogether. But with time, we can see that through this iconic photo, she incorporated many European details. Her crown, for example, was especially made to match European models and Ubuntu royalty. I'm most confident the gems implemented that we see throughout the entire decor was sapphire, rubies, and diamonds. It was a proclamation of authority, wealth, and cultural pride. The crown and robe were a symbol of power, wealth, majesty, and lineages. You'll see later how I use a metal plate as a foundation for the build. The shape of the queen's cap of her crown reminds me of a pine cone. Was this a strategic implementation of European spirituality or indigenous ideals from days of old? In ancient Mesopotamian literature, winged figures, often depicted as genies or divine beings, are frequently shown holding pine cones. Seems as though she was caught between two worlds, or attempting to satisfy the needs and protection of her own people while integrating the ways of the Europeans. It's time for us to stitch together the cap portion of the crown. I've used red fabric. I measured it according to the shape of my head, and we're done with that part. We'll now move on to the lovely blue necklace that Queen Nzinga is wearing. I decided to go with beads instead of fabric, and a lot of what I was doing, by hand was a bit time consuming, but quite enjoyable. We'll move forward with the green robe. I have measured all of the materials which I will use. As you can see, I even found a nice, fluffy, soft fabric which resembles fur, but it's not fur. I didn't want to go hunt any antelopes or bears. So I took it to my seamstress and had her put it together for me quickly so that I can move forward with the project. I did not want to delay you guys. So she handled it in like less than 10 minutes, and now she's ironing it for me. At the time of Queen Nzinga's birth, her grandfather, Kilambo Kia Kasinda, was the kingdom's Angola ruler, from which the country Angola was named. According to tradition, Nzinga was born with her umbilical cord around her neck. For this reason, she was given a name from Kibundu language, Kujinga, meaning to twist or to rotate. Nzinga was favored by her father since she was not considered an heir to the throne. She was not seen as a direct threat to male members of the family, and so the king would freely lavish her with attention without offending the heirs to the throne. She participated in many official and governance duties alongside her father, including legal councils, war councils, and important rituals. Nzinga was also taught by visiting Portuguese missionaries to read and write in Portuguese. Angola, in its pre-colonial history, did not have a widespread established writing system in the way that some other ancient civilizations did. However, they did have a system of ideograms called lusona that served as mnemonic devices to record proverbs, fables, games, riddles, and animals and transmit knowledge. Here's an example. To make them, drawing experts, after cleaning and smoothing the ground, would impress dots and draw a continuous line between them. The dots can represent trees, people, animals, while the lines can represent paths, rivers, fences, walls, contours of the body, and so on. So this right here is an empty container of some lovely natural product that my girlfriend sent to me. I used it all. It was so lovely. And I noticed that she had a beautiful golden cover, and I was looking for this kind of gold metallic spray, but I could not find it. So I said, you know what? We're going to use that. And remember, like I said in the beginning, we're using what we have because resources around here are so scarce, guys. You guys know I'm in northern Ghana, and it's not easy finding the things that I need. So I've learned to improvise a lot. And as you can see, it's turning out very well. Right now, I'm meeting with my new welder, Mia. She's measuring the crown for me. She's creating the foundation, and she did a pretty good job. Although, there's some rough patches. Yep, we'll have to sand it and make it smooth. There's a lot of imperfections here. I would have preferred it to be, of course, more meticulous, but she didn't know. But we're going to find a way to, of course, disguise all of those imperfections by using the gold fabric string. Feels good to be the queen in my own wonderful human imagination. But we have to fix this. I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it with our handy dandy glue. So we are adding the gold string, and as you can see, we still have some imperfections there, but we're going to cover it up with the gold fabric, which I braided earlier. And you guys, it's looking really good. The only thing that is a little off-putting, but not so much, is the hue of the gold. I really wanted to find metallic gold, but I just couldn't find it, guys. But you know what? It's not too bad. It is my belief that originally rubies, sapphires, even diamonds were used. My initial plan was to take the easy route and use the glue gun, but the crown wasn't having it. So the gold string was unexpected, but the fabric and the glue were not compatible. So here we are sewing on the braided gold string, and that's what it's looking like. I decided to add red lace as the lining for the inside of the cap. Historical Deep Dive. Nzinga's father lost a series of conflicts with the Portuguese, with whom his kingdom had battled for decades, and was eventually killed in 1617 by his own people. Nzinga's brother, Angola Mbandi, seized power for himself, securing his position by killing those he deemed threatening, such as relatives, especially his male relatives, and members of the court. Nzinga's own infant son was included in the bloodbath. but he let Nzinga and her sisters live. How gracious. However, he had them sterilized so that they would not be able to bear any future challengers to his throne. I wonder how that turned out. Nzinga enters the historical record about 1622 when local Portuguese officials reported her arrival at their encampment to negotiate a peace agreement on her brother's behalf. Her brother had sent her to make a treaty with the Portuguese governor in Luanda. Be strong, he said, because the Portuguese are treacherous. When she arrived, the governor on his throne waited for her to speak. Do you not offer me a place to sit? Asked Nzinga. That is for equals, said the governor. You are not my equal. The Portuguese, either through ignorance or in an attempt to insult her, provided her with only a mat to sit on at the meeting. I wonder how that turned out. I am an emissary of the king of Ndongo. I am your equal, replied Nzinga. She clapped her hands, and one of her attendants knelt down on all fours. She sat on his back and proposed a treaty. By the end of her visit, the treaty was made on her terms. Nzinga's negotiations with the Portuguese were successful, and during her time with them, she converted to Catholicism and took the name Ana de Sousa. She returned to her brother with the treaty, but relations between him and the Portuguese deteriorated as the colonizing power sought to expand their territory and profit from the slave trade. In 1624, her brother either died by suicide or was killed by Nzinga. Nzinga was to rule as regent for his son, her nephew, but she murdered him in an act of quiet revenge. Here's how it went. She strategically married a powerful neighboring rival, Mbangala warlord, Kasanji, who was the caretaker of her deceased brother's heir when he died. Moments after the wedding rituals were performed, she immediately slices her nephew's neck and from then on claimed the throne as her very own. She would go on to rule and fight against the Portuguese for 37 years, well into her 60s. She was a very determined woman. What do you think? Queen Nzinga did not have a proper husband in a traditional sense, and the strategic marriage to the warlord, it didn't last. He later abandoned her for the Portuguese because she was not of their lineage or rights. The Portuguese had secretly hired Kasanji and his men to fight Queen Nzinga, but many of the warriors broke away and didn't want to have anything to do with the Portuguese, whilst those who went to find Nzinga and her army were unsuccessful. The Portuguese kidnapped her sister, Cambu Mande, and used her as a pawn for slaves. Nzinga had no interest in slaves prior to this, but eventually adopted slave trading and was able to retrieve her sister. I hope I haven't put you to sleep yet. We're almost there. Some sources suggest that Nzinga's forces captured hundreds of thousands of people, allowing her to sell nearly 200,000 slaves to the Portuguese. Others debate whether it was more about war captives and crooks, thieves, rather than the capture and sales of her own people, whom she tirelessly fought for. This is one of Queen Nzinga's official crowns, and as you can see, it matches the bird. So I'm going to assume that the feathers were used from a bird that was indigenous to the land, but I'm not really sure. I just went outside to the farm and grabbed a couple of feathers, washed them off, and as you can see, the blue pigment is holding well. To make the feathers stay blue, because of course it can rub off, I'm using a holding mousse and it does the trick. Because once it dries, it doesn't move at all. Nothing falls away. There's no staining whatsoever. I just love this color blue. I have always loved it. I just never used it on my eyes because it was a little much. Look at that. We're going to save the best for last. So now we're moving on to a very important part of the crown, the gemstones that are applied to the cap. Of course, I'm using beads. I'm just gluing them on. I tried to sew them and it was not working out, guys. So I said, you know what, let's just do it this way. And it worked a lot faster. So as you can see, we've moved on to the green robe. I'm just measuring it to make sure that it will affix well with our brooch, and it looks really good. I measured it almost perfectly, even folding it down like in the picture. So here's an important part that we got to do, guys. I decided to use these coffee bean shells to create the pattern that's on the robe in Queen Nzinga's picture. The reason for this is because I did not want to draw on the pattern. I thought it would look pretty tacky. So I said, okay, think about what would you do if you were working for Queen Nzinga? Of course, I will use the finest of whatever I can find, but because I'm not able to do that right now, I said, use what you can find. And of course I did. At the cultural center, they have these really cute waist beads. They can be used for anything, but mainly waist beads, and they're dyed. And I just said, you know what? These beads are the exact color of the lines on the picture, and I want to use them. I just didn't know that it was going to become so hands-on. As you can see, I loop the thread. I'm strategically placing the thread through the shells and then positioning the needle underneath so it's hidden and it looks more precise. It's amazing, really. Look at that. You would think that I was so experienced, but I am not. All of this is very new. I learned to sew when I was probably 8 years old. My mom taught me, and I never sewed after that. During those days, the colonialists or the Portuguese or whoever was passing through at that time were usually the authors and illustrators of what was seen at that time. So it's not necessarily a 100% representation as to the character individuals or anything that was going on at that time. Only because they had their own writing system, they had their own level of communication, but they were utterly subdued. And not only that, they were subject to really nasty rumors. And one of those, which I think is a rumor, was that Queen Nzinga not only called herself a king, but that she had a harem of women or men who dressed like women. And there was another rumor saying that when she would spend the night with them, that she would kill them. I highly doubt that during that time she would eliminate her numbers as far as her army is concerned. But I would like to hear from you all regarding this really interesting history. It was very concise. I tried my best to cram it all in. There's so much more to it, but I'm pretty sure you guys will explore more. Okay, so let's get on with the video. We've come to also see what the apparel is looking like. I'm going to give you guys a glimpse as to what it took to put the ensemble together.
Before the next show starts, let's enjoy an intermission. You'll find our snack bar chock full of good things to eat and drink.
Historical edibles. Muamba de galinha. While this dish is considered traditional, specific recipes and cooking techniques from the 1600s are difficult to find, as written documentation of Angolan cuisine from that period is scarce. This recipe calls for pumpkins or sweet potatoes. I didn't have either, so I used carrots. And also, I learned that this recipe uses peanut paste or some sort of peanut cream, which I didn't know. I was given the basics, so we're gonna do the basics, and I hope you guys like it. The chicken has been sitting in brine for about 30 minutes. I added hot pepper powder instead of paprika because paprika wasn't available. I added garlic, and I let that sit while I sliced bell peppers, carrots, eggplants, and sliced onions. We started a fire. Now we're adding a little oil. We're searing the chicken. Let that cook for a little bit. And now we'll add the palm oil. We're adding all of the ingredients, and we're gonna let that cook down for a bit. We come back a little later and we give it a stir. After about 40 minutes, we add the okra because we don't want it to get too slimy, but we want it to be nice and tender. Guys, this looks good. Muamba de galinha. Let's try it. This looks scrumptious. It smells delectable. So I'm gonna have mine without starch. I would like to try some of the eggplant. Wow, it smells really nice, robust, earthy, aromatic. Let's go. I don't want it to be too hot. Let's go. What I like about this dish is very delicious, number one. It's something I would probably enjoy eating every day. What I really enjoy about this dish is that every vegetable has its own flavor profile. Oh my gosh. Everything is just delicious. And I really like this. I can't believe that this dish was created like hundreds of years ago. Guys, this food is so good. I want to take care of this. Mm, mm. Oh, one more thing. To cool things down, we have here some homemade kisangwa pineapple soda, naturally fermented. Let's give it a try. Okay. As you can hear, there's a little bit of carbonation. Smells like fermenty, pineapple-y, clovey, because I added some cloves and cinnamon. Let's just add a little bit there. Here we go. Kisanga, Angolan indigenous drink. We are trying it for the first time. I let it ferment for 4 days, and here goes nothing. All right. I'm grateful. Thank you. Wow. Okay. It truly does resemble a soda. It's not as sweet as I thought it would be, but you can definitely capture a hint of the pineapple flavor. Oh gosh, it's really delicious. Incorporating the cinnamon was a good idea. It's really good. I think that anyone who makes this, you're going to sweeten it according to your desire. I would like to add a little bit more honey and it would be perfect. And also, I heard that chilling it really brings it out. And that's exactly what I did. And here we have this almost perfect, I guess. It tastes good to me. I like it. Kiswanga.
And now, on with the show.
In the 1500s, Angola beauty standards for women likely emphasized youthfulness, strong features, and a well-maintained appearance, with adornments like beads, jewelry, and body paint playing a significant role in expressing beauty and status. Queen Nzinga's majestic robes were more than just garments. They were symbols of authority, adorned with gemstones, intricate patterns, feathers, and vibrant colors. Her dress became a visual representation of her leadership and the unity of her kingdom. I learned that royal attire definitely requires dedicated assistance. It was not easy putting the robe on, neither the crown, but overall, I love it. I could wear this every day. I might have to try that.
Okay, guys, so that was a little stressful. Had a little fashion mishap right before the big reveal, but everything looks really cool. This was truly an epic experience. It's really hot right now. Forgive me for sweating. I had to turn the fan off so that the mics wouldn't have that sound. But anyways, I really like it. It's absolutely beautiful. I feel borderline iconic wearing it. I can imagine what she felt like at that time. I'm sure she felt very comfortable, but you can also see in her eyes that there was a bit of concern, but yet openness to this new experience. I'm going to assume because she might have been fully immersed at that time after all of the warfare that she had experienced. But this iconic look was really a lot of fun to recreate, and I hope you guys like it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and I hope that you guys like the crown that we made. I did my best. This robe was worn in Southern Africa, of course. As you can see, I'm sweating. We are in the heat of the dry season. South Africa, it's a lot more cooler, and during that time, I'm pretty sure it felt really good, even with the bare breasts exposed, but it was a lot of fun to create. It just looks amazing, I think, and she looked absolutely stunning, as you can see in the portrait on Nzinga, in her royalty, opulence, and her majesty.
If you enjoyed our journey into Queen Nzinga's adornment and historical cuisine, please give the video a like. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be alerted, and I'll see you in our next episode of Incredible Adventures.